Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Virtual Grip Network as we present to you the Bootleg Racing League Super Late Model Series presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. And of course, Gargamel's Kitchen is a food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado, and a proud sponsor of the BRL Super Late Model Series. Make sure to go visit them and give them a call, as of course their offices are at 2045 South Valentia Street, or give them a call at 720-707-6178. Good evening, everyone. I am your host, Taylor Burris. Alongside me is Marty Chen. Speedway for some super late model action. Marty, we're throwing it back to the 1980s, and we are about to see some great racing action with some of the best super late model drivers in the business.
Taylor, good evening. It's been a fun start to the season here with BRL in the brand new super late models. Of course, last year we went with the ARCA Grand National Series and said farewell to them. Again, it's been an incredible start. We've had 4 different races and 4 different winners. The parity has been incredible to begin this season, and it's only round 5. We have seen some incredible finishes all season. Last week may have been a little bit of a blowout. However, though, we got a good one tonight.
We certainly do, and if we think about it, tell us a little bit more about this famous hallowed grounds of North Wilkesboro.
Well, first off, congratulations to North Wilkesboro Speedway on the return. SMI has done a really good seating, 14 degrees in the turns, 3 degrees on the straights. And something you got to think of here as well, Taylor, when you think about it in turn number 1, sometimes this can affect the drivers mentally. On the pit road exit, it's not really an apron, it's just extra asphalt, and that grass can sometimes pop you out of nowhere. So drivers got to be really careful entering turns 1 and 2. If they throw it in really deep, they got to sometimes realize, oh yeah, there's grass there. And if you hit grass with these super late models, your car is going sideways.
It's also one of the most interesting short tracks in the business, knowing the fact of how this track, especially since in the 1980s, this track you're actually going down and uphill on the entrances of turns 1 and 2, and then of course you're going uphill when you enter into turns 3 and 4. So keep an eye on that to see how these competitors will do battle here tonight. One thing also to keep in mind is the championship point standings. Currently, it is Kenny Kibby who has a 4-point lead over James Lowe after that round. Then Justin Morton, of course, will be in 3rd, Austin Belke 4th. Michael Goodman rounds out your top 5 in the point standings here. We already mentioned here tonight that this is, of course, the 5th round of the championship. A lot of great racing here tonight. We're going to give you also your starting lineup here in the next couple of minutes. Marty, though, who are some of your drivers that you're going to be watching as we get ready to watch the action live from North Wilkesboro?
Well, I think to start things off, we're coming off of a great race last week. That was won by Matthew Thunhorst with a big 1.5-second victory. I think this is the time that he's really started to adapt it with the transition from the Grand National Series over to the super late models, currently second quick on the boards. But I'm also watching Justin Morton really closely. While he is yet to win this season, he is currently quickest in practice at a 17.846. May have been on fresh tires though, but again, this is a series that you got to be really careful with wearing your tires out. Morton's been pretty good at doing that. We saw it a little bit last season, picking up a win, I believe, if I recall correctly. However, though, we'll just have to wait and find out. Again, the parity level very high with the super late models. We could go 5 for 5 tonight. The action's really tight.
Give you a quick rundown of tonight's action as far as the top 5 in practice. Justin Morton is currently the fastest with a 17.846. Matthew Thunhorst, last week's winner at 5 Flags with a 17.928. Then it's Michael Goodman, Steven Spies, and Michael Lemoy rounds out your top 5 in this practice chart here as we finish up warm-up, and then we'll give you your starting lineup for tonight's action at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Checker flags out for warm-up. That just means one thing. We're about to go racing super late model style in the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And of course, last week we go about by how we go about qualifying is working through the eighth position driver is inverted. So from eighth to first is inverted. And as we get ready, here is your starting lineup for tonight's action. Johnny Moore will be your pole sitter, followed by Jeffrey Harden in second place. Austin Belke will be starting in third, with Justin Morton in fourth position. Kenny Kibby will be starting in fifth. Matthew Thunhorse in sixth, with Michael Goodman starting in seventh. Joe Segala rounds out your top eight. Ninth will go to Kurt Smith, with Michael Lemoy rounding out your top 10.
Joseph Snyder and Todd Liston, they make up row number 6. That's Bruce Pearson and Mike Holloway in row 7. Adam Shane, Brian Dean in row 8. Then you got Steven Spees, Michael Smith in row 9. And rounding out this 20-car field in row 10, Chris Wolfson and Mike Allen.
20 cars taking to the track here tonight. There you see Johnny Moore, Jeffrey Harden, who's going to be leading them to the green flag here in a few moments' time. Barry, the pace car driver, leads them behind the iRacing Ford Mustang, as we'll get 2 laps of green flag racing here as the rest of the starting lineup rolls through here tonight. A lot of drivers looking at Donnie Moore, who gets another great pole position after a decent finish last week at Five Flag Speedways. Jeffrey Harden looking to see if he can get his way up through the front of the field here tonight. And of course, Belke. He has been one of the fastest drivers all season long. Can he finally capitalize on some things and try to propel his way up through the point standings? Lights are out on the pace car. That means one thing. We're about to turn them loose here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. We'd like to thank all of you who are watching here on the Virtual Grip Network, as well as watching and tuning in for all things Bootleg Racing League, as we turn loose the greatest super late model drivers in the business as they work down the back straightaway. Barry, the pace car driver, will be able to make that hard left turn down pit road. Ladies and gentlemen, Barney the flagman will have that green flag in hand as we kick off action, throwback style, at North Wilkesboro. Green flag is out, and we're underway here with the Bootleg Racing League, and already it's action with 2 and 3 wide action between Johnny Moore as he will sneak away for the race lead as they come out of turn 2, working their way back into turns 3 and 4. Moore has about a 2-car length advantage as they work their way out of turn 4. Johnny Moore will lead lap number 1 here at North Wilkesboro.
Boy, let me tell you, Jeffrey Harden had a wild lap number 1. First off, nearly got turned around in turn 1, and then nearly looped it, got too much gas on the exit of turn 2, but these cars are going crazy fast. You got Justin Morton on the outside trying to get by the 14 of Kibby for 4th position. Doesn't work out, but here comes Thunhorse trying to get a top 5 spot.
Heading on board with Kenny Kibby as they come out of turn number 2. A little car gets sideways up the track. That's Justin Morton in the 9 machine as they continue to do battle. He's having to deal with Matthew Thunhorse on the inside of that 8 machine. Of course, he was a dominant competitor last week at Five Flags, picking up the win. He's going to work his way up through the top 5, and as they go nose to tail, the 14, of course, of Kenny Kibby, your points leader, trying to keep it clean and green here in the early stages.
Low line groove, the dominant groove, everyone's working out. This is, of course, going to be a race of patience here at the most legendary short track ever in the history of NASCAR. A couple of drivers picking up personal best here early. First side-by-side battle, and oh, man! Joseph Snyder, we got one in the wall. That's Brian Dean in the 23, keeps it going straight, and you got to be careful here. Now, when normally you're racing like a NASCAR, aerodynamics don't really matter, but when you're racing a super late model, aerodynamics really do matter. So that's not good for Brian Dean to begin.
Brian Dean, you're right on board with him in that number 23 machine. He's now dropped back all the way to 14th position as we watch the battle position between Bruce Pearson and Joseph Snyder. That is the battle for 11th. The 79 machine of Adam Shane now gets into the mix. That's going to be the battle for 10th as they come out of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. You're right on board with Pearson in the number 22 machine, now on board with Snyder in the 39 as he tries to hold off Steven Spees now as he works his way up to 12th position on the outside.
Good battle for 4th position on track between Thunhorse and Kibby. Kibby's got that throwback like one of those 1990s styrofoam coffee cups you would used to get at the convenience store. Thunhorse makes the clear for 4th position and is on the tear. already up 2 spots early. Justin Morton trying to make a run inside on Kenny Kibby to round out the top 5, but doesn't work. Kibby on the clear for now.
Matthew Thunhorse in that Forge Racing Mustang trying to see if he can find the opening around Jeffrey Harden. Meanwhile, the battle for 5th still goes on between Kibby and Morton. Morton to the inside in his Ford. You have Kibby on the outside in his number 14 Chevrolet as they go side by side off of turn 2, down the back straightaway, down the hill through turns 3 and 4, and then a little bit further up the road, you see Thunhorse putting the pressure on Jeffrey Harden. You're right on board with Morton as we head into turn 1.
Absolutely. Donnie Moore, I got to give credit to him, your race leader. Off to a great start. I would have thought he would have lost the lead by now based on his previous occasions where he's been on the front row in this series. But Austin Belke putting a lot of pressure, and if you're Donnie Moore right now, don't even be looking at that rear view mirror. You want to be looking at what's ahead of you. Jeffrey Harden, meanwhile, took a shot into turn number 1, try and close the gap on Belke, but doesn't really work at the moment.
You're right on board with Harden right now from Bakersville, California. He's trying to see if he can keep up with the rest of the field of Austin Belke and Donnie Moore. Donnie Moore last week at Five Flags did have one of the dominant cars compared to Thunhorse, but due to the fact of just not taking care of his tires towards the end of the race, that is what cost him a chance of a top 3 finish here. As a little bit of a stack up out of turn 4, contact between Moore and Belke and Harden. They still keep it straight on narrow as they come back through turns 1 and 2. And as they come out of turn 2, Moore gets a little bit of a breathing room now over Belke as they dive it back into turn 3 and 4.
Another good battle happening for 9th position. Adam Shane inside on Mike Lemieux for that spot. And at the line, it was the number 40. But in front of them, Thunhorse the run on Harden for P3. Can't get it just yet, but Matthew Thunhorse shaping up early. But look at the run inside. Belke's challenging for the lead off of 4. New leader, the 24.
Austin Belke and the Rainbow Warriors will definitely get that power down to the inside. He will try to complete the pass off turn 2 and just can't quite clear him. Moore with the momentum on his outside, still be able to hold on, but here comes Thunhorse, Morton, and Harden as he starts to fall back. Kenny Kibby gets into the mix. 6 cars battling for the top spot as Belke finally clears them into turn 1. Out of turn number 2, though, it is still going to be Thunhorse battling to the inside of Donnie Moore. They're going to stay side by side. Morton watching on the outside lane. He'll try to fill the gap as they come through turns 3 and 4, and as they come out of 4, Thunhorse will clear Donnie Moore for 2nd as they come across the line.
Now just wait for Matthew Thunhorse. He starts to shine really at this point on in the races. Likes to close in on Belke, normally be a little patient, and then when he pressures the leader either into a mistake, or if we get a restart, or if it's just his time to pounce, that's when Matthew Thunhorse goes for it.
Matthew Thunhorse doing a great job in that number 8 Mustang as they work their way back into turns 3 and 4. He's starting to pick up the pace a little bit. Ran the fastest lap last time by inside the top 5, and as they come across the line this time, he will pick up the pace here and try to see if he can keep that pace. Still sets the fastest lap last time by for your top 10 as they ride on board with Donnie Moore as he will do battle with Kenny Kibby, your points leader. Kibby to the inside will complete the pass as they come off corner exit. Donnie Moore can't be able to do anything that time around as they go back into turns 1 and 2. As they continue on, Moore will lose another spot there to Jeffrey Harden. He is struggling for grip as he scrapes the outside wall.
Yeah, I think Donnie Moore has used up his tires at the moment. I think he's one of those drivers that normally takes advantage early and then see what he's got left in the tank to try and survive early. You could see on our telemetry we showed just a couple of seconds ago how much speed he was losing to Kenny Kibby, and he continues to lose the pace big time all the way back to 6th. And you've got an inversion battle on the line for 8th spot. Shane's got provisional pole at the moment and nearly makes contact with Segala.
Joe Segala having a great run so far here tonight, looking to see if he can capitalize on some runs and good finishes here tonight at North Wilkesboro. He'll be able to work his way through. There's Shane, there's Segala on the outside trying to hold off the 55 of Steven Spees, and as they continue to do battle for that 8th position, they're going to keep it single file, back it down, and continue on out at turn number 2. Meanwhile, we go a little further back. Bruce Pearson now working his way up through the field. He's now in that 13th position. and currently stays in 13th position. He's not one of our biggest movers. That currently goes to Adam Shane, who started 15th, and Steven Spies, who also started in 17th. He's now inside the top 10.
Give you a little fun trivia fact here, Taylor. Austin Belke is in a Jeff Gordon throwback number 24 here at North Wilkesboro. Who was the last NASCAR Cup driver to win at North Wilkesboro?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say, was it Jeff Gordon?
Yep, you got that right, and I think this is the perfect place to bring out the old colors of the rainbow from what Gordon drove from the early 1990s up until 2000. But a lot of pressure is coming from Matthew Thunhorst as we're 26 laps in the books.
Quarter distance here in tonight's 100-lap feature race here for the BRL Super Late Model Series presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. And as they come across the line there, they will go. Thunhorst trying to find the opening. He needs Belke a little faster last time by. In fact, was almost a tenth faster than Matthew Thunhorst as they continue to do battle here, working their way back into turns 3 and 4 and closing in on some lap traffic just up the road. You got Mike Allen in the 59, Todd Liston in the 87 machine as he gets loose in his number 87 Martin Sports machine as he'll go up to the top of the racetrack in his Ford Mustang. He is absolutely struggling for grip right now. He'll dive it down to the bottom of the racetrack. Will he take it down pit road? That would probably be the smart thing to do. Keep it out of the racing groove and continue on. Don't park it because that's still technically the racing groove. And he'll take it below the line out of harm's way and either request a tow or what is he going to be doing?
Gotta be careful as well because yellows are on through iRacing. So I'm baffled too. Now the car is backing up. This is a very strange turn of events. This could bring a yellow flag out.
This could definitely bring a yellow flag out. Todd Liston just needs to continue on and just go around the racetrack.
It's like the controller broke or something, Taylor. Like that. It's like the car was in neutral or something. Now it goes into the pits. Like the car, yeah, and he's out of the race. It's like the car, like the controller was disconnected. It automatically went into neutral, and it was on some little stump where it just had enough center of gravity to go down in reverse.
And with that, Todd Liston's day is going to be done here tonight as they now work their way up through the field. You see the 79 of Adam Shane now on screen. He's trying to work his way up through the field, now catching up to Michael Goodman in the 28 and Johnny Moore in the 6th position. Currently, Shane right now is your provisional pole sitter for the next race here for the BRL. But as he continues on, he's got to do a little bit of work. Now you see the battle right for position of Joseph Snyder and Brian Dean in the 23 machine as they'll work their way through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Dean, remember, he's coming off of that wall scrape he had early on in the race. As you take a look, he's got a little bit of a right front fender damage. So far, doing a good job of keeping that car going straight, not having any major issues, not a lot of tire fall off at the moment. Speaking of tire fall off, drivers are currently 6/10 off of their best lap of the race. At the moment, it's we're 35 laps in the books without a yellow flag. Not sure if we'll see any more of that tire fall off go into the 7/10 of a second range. We'll just have to wait.
It all depends on how well some of these competitors take care of their equipment during this stage of the race right now, as we are approaching that halfway point here in a few laps' time. And keeping an eye on some of the action here. Watching on, Adam Shane still doing pretty well, trying to keep his way up with Michael Goodman and continuing to do battle.
Yeah, Adam Shane is on the charge. Again, you mentioned it earlier. He started in the 15th position, up 7 spots. Steven Speed's also a part of it, too, if you want to count that. It was up 8 spots from the start of this race. They're actually closing in on pole sitter Donnie Moore for the 6th position. And these guys behind Donnie Moore, I think right now at the moment they've got better tires. Adam Shane was like a 10th of a second faster compared to both Goodman and Moore last time by.
Johnny Moore doing a great job as he's trying to hold off these two hungry competitors of Goodman and Shane as they continue to do battle for that 7th position, working back into turns 1. There's the 55 of Steven Spees as well in the mix as he's trying to do it. There's a lap car of Mike Allen. They're going to have to make quick work of as they go around him on the outside, down into turns 3 and 4. Shane tries to find the opening around Goodman, but can't find it just yet as they come back across the start-finish line.
Adam Shane is here right on board with him. Look how much he closes in on the entry. It's like he's driving harder than he's normally has in the past. But the car ahead of him and Michael Goodman just gets a much better drive on the exit. You see it right, you see it right there, that big burst of speed on the exit of the corner. Let's see what Shane does entering turn 1.
Shane doing a great job trying to see if he can hold on and keep Steven behind him. Goodman still can't find the opening. He'll go to the outside with the big momentum on his side to see if he can propel him, but not going to work. Steven tries to stick his nose to the inside, working his way through. Can't quite make it work. Here comes Shane with a big run to the inside of Goodman. Not close enough to capitalize on it. There he goes. He'll send it in 3 and 4.
Almost up to that quarter panel. Does he have it just yet off of turn 4? He's still right there on Goodman for the battle for the spot. Now he takes a shot at it and pulls up ahead on the exit of turn 2. Look how close they are on the exit, Taylor. It's crazy.
It is absolute craziness here. Great racing action, short track style here at North Wilkesboro as they come across the line. 46 laps complete, or 45 laps completed here at North Wilkesboro as they continue on here down the back straightaway. Steven Spees working his way through. The Lee Summit competitor and the New York competitor of Goodman now as he stays stuck on the outside. Steven will get by him as they come across the line. Still no giving up for Goodman, the New Yorker, who's trying to fight back on the outside lane. Big momentum, but not enough to keep him there. He'll still stay side by side, works his way through, but Steven will keep the power down on the inside lane.
If you look on the pavement here, Taylor, you could definitely see this low line is completely the down of the line with all the rubber that's been laid down by the Hoosier tires. And you can just see how it's completely dominant. You don't want to be anywhere up on that outside in the marbles, or else you're going way back, that's for sure. Update on Todd Liston, by the way. Liston is fine. We just got word that he lost his shifter. So the shifter broke and somehow automatically went into neutral. So yeah, that was strange.
Interesting turn of events, but of course, just like in the real world, we here in the virtual world can have hardware failures and malfunctions, and unfortunately it can cost us strong finishes and even great racing action here for competitors. So tough break for Todd Liston. He'll have to try again when we go to Southern National.
Dunhorse still there on Belkey, meanwhile, for the battle for the lead, but Justin Morton is up there with Dunhorse. Same with Kenny Kibby. I think at the moment for the top 4, they don't really want to pass each other. I think at this point on, they just want to be patient, just run their own race, and then once we get to those final few laps or so, then that's when it's time to make your move. They're preserving their tires for right now.
They certainly are preserving their tires. Justin Morton on one of those competitors who is preserving his tires, keeping pace, though, with Dunhorse and Belkey. Throwing Kenny Kibby right there in the mix. It's 4-car breakaway from the rest of the field right now as they are lined up nose to tail. We've already crossed over the halfway point of tonight's action here at North Wilkesboro as Kenny Kibby goes washed up wide off corner. But here's the battle for the lead. Dunhorse looks to the inside, can't quite make it work. This opens the door for Morton on the outside with some momentum.
I think the two nearly made contact, and Dunhorse had to get off the throttle to avoid a wreck from taking place. So he stays in second spot. Meanwhile, Kenny Kibby looks like he's really tight entering turn number 1, or he's just trying to diamond the corner in 1 and 2. I think that's what he's doing, trying to diamond the corner to get a much better exit compared to the other drivers, a lower exit in 1 and 2, and I think, like we talked about in the pre-race, that has to do with that little elevation compared between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Here Here they come out of turn number 2. You're right on board with Kenny Kibby. They're continuing to do battle here for that number 1 spot. Belky holding strong. Kibby, you're right on board with, trying to find the momentum to get around Justin Morton as they dive it into turns 3 and 4. Kibby now utilizing the outside lane and kind of diamonding the corner to get the momentum he needs to try and challenge for third. But so far, not working at this moment, but give it some time. He may be able to make it work as they come out of turn 4. It's still Belky, Thunhorse, Morton, and Kibby, your top 4, as they've broken away from Jeffrey Harden.
No big battles happening really at the moment. All the drivers just racing their own race and being patient, pardon me, at the moment. Next drivers for the leaders to catch up on for lap traffic is Chris Wolfson in 18th.
Chris Wilston will be the next car to put 1 lap down. He's working his way through the field as they work out of turn number 2, back into turns 3 and 4. The competition still is raging on between your top 4 as we see Belky go a little wide. That opens the door for Thunhorse. He tried to take a look before they entered into turn number 1. There you see all over the back bumper of that 24 Rainbow Warrior as they come out of turn 2. Thunhorse still trying to find the opening. Morton in the catbird seat waiting for these two to make a mistake. He'll get right on the bumper of him as they come out of turn 4.
Yeah, I think you could even say the same thing too for Kenny Kibby. If the top 3 get into it, this is kind of remind me a little bit of many years ago at North Wilkesboro when I think it was Jeff Bodine and or Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt got together. It was Rudd and Dale, and it led to Jeff Bodine winning the Tyson 400. I think this was back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Great racing action here as you're right on board with Kenny Kibby, keeping an eye on this situation and the battle here. 40 laps to go here at North Wilkesboro. It's amazing how fast these competitors have been dropping down lap times and racing here. We're nearly 3/4 of the way done with tonight's racing action. It's hard to believe time flies, but when we're having fun, it certainly does here at North Wilkesboro. We look forward to seeing, actually, if you think about it, Marty, if iRacing, when, of course, North Wilkesboro gets the repave and turned into a dirt track later, as we watch Joe Segala battling on here, could we see that possibly in the iRacing future?
Oh, man. Taylor, you got me hyped up. If iRacing can turn USA, Lanier, and Bristol from pavement to dirt, why in the world not for North Wilkesboro? I'm excited for it, and as a guy that, covers dirt racing myself, the big blocks are going to be down there, I think, late September or so. Get me ready for that. I'm excited.
We will get you excited. Hashtag soon, as the famous people at iRacing would say.
Soon.
Watching now on board with Austin Belky and just seeing what he can do for the Michigan native, trying to hold off Thunhorse. Thunhorse getting the pressure on and working his way through as they come out of turn number 4, catching up to Chris Wolfson, who's just up the road in his number 17 Ghost Energy machine. Then you got Bruce Pearson also not too far as well. We could see some drivers here that gets their way through.
Curious as well as we look at the trends here. What's the longest green flag run we've had to start a race this season? Or have we actually had a 100-lap caution-free event this year?
I don't think we've had a caution-free event this season.
So this is probably the longest start we have had to a race in the year, in race 5?
So if a caution comes out, everyone just do hashtag blame Marty for that, because he just has jinxed us.
Look, here's the thing. I'm not one that believes in the commentators' jinx. It's just, I call it bad timing.
It's some really great action here, and we'll see how this will work out. Austin Belky is still trying to battle his way through, holding strong with the race lead. They're trying to catch up and continue on. Thunhorse, though, is all over the back bumper, putting that pressure on him and trying to hold on. Justin Morton, along with Kenny Kibby, doing some great racing action as they continue to work their way through the field. Coming up to 30 laps to go. It's going to get exciting here in the closing stages. Here comes Thunhorse. He'll take a peek, show the nose. Not going to be able to make anything work through 3 and 4.
Remember, Belky's looking to become the 5th different winner in 5 races this season. Thunhorse looking to go back-to-back. He had a great win a dominant 1.5-second victory last week at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola. Can he follow that up with a win at a more historic short track than Five Flags? Donnie Moore, by the way, is in the pits.
Tough
and
break
I
for
think he'll
Donnie.
call it.
Yep, Donnie Moore is going to take it in behind the wall. His night is going to be done as we still watch the battle between Austin Belke, Thunhorse, and Justin Morton now as they continue to do battle. Kibby still there on the attack. And as they work their way out of turn number 4 down across the front straightaway here, it is still close action. And looking at timing and scoring, they have not even fallen off a second off their fastest lap of the race so far. So this is going to be very exciting to see how these drivers are going to manage their tires in these closing 30 laps. They are giving it everything they got here at the closing stages.
Kibby, once again, I'm really interested in seeing if this strategy can pay off diamonding the corner. Because the other thing I see that could be a bigger risk for Kenny is when he's entering turn 1, is that he's going a longer way around. He's using a lot more tire rubber in that point of the racetrack than anybody else.
He certainly is, and it's a lot of work that's going on right now as they continue to watch on here. Adam Shane now working his way through. He currently does not have that pole position that's currently held by Michael Goodman. Currently, after tonight's race, he would be starting in second place here next week at Southern National. And as we continue to watch the action, here comes Michael Goodman right now, who's holding strong. Austin Belke, though, with 26 laps to go, still trying to hold off a hard-charging Matthew Thunhorse as they work their way back into turn 1.
Once again, Kibby's doing that. Almost pulled up to the quarter panel of Justin Morton, oh so close. And they're just following each other. They know when it's time to go. And there you see a bumper. I think there was a bumper for Matthew Thunhorse off of turn 4, showing him, hey man, it's time to get going.
It's time to get going. The action's ramping up. Kenny Kibby trying to find the outside lane to make things work. Not going to work this time around. And as he works his way through down to the bottom of the bottom of the track, they're going to work their way down across the start-finish line. 3/4 of the lap race done. We're closing in on 20 to go here as they come out of turn number 2, and still Belke and Thunhorse now starting to get a little separation now from Morton and Kibby as they work their way catching up to the lap car of Bruce Pearson, who's just up the road.
Pearson goes to the high side and moves out of the way. I'm not sure really how that's going to affect Kibby here, and it does not. He's all good. Now let's see what Thunhorse does here in the battle for the race lead. Better entry from Belke, it looks like, compared to Thunhorse, and a better 3 and 4. Comparing the lap times between the top 2, it was Thunhorse actually by 200ths quicker. Now they stack up. Morton almost became a part of this battle.
It's starting to come back into the mix and closing in along with Kenny Kibby as the shade is covering over the racetrack here at North Wilkesboro. You're right on board with Morton as they come out of turn 4. Diving it back into turns 1 and 2, Morton in his number 9 Ford, trying to find the opening here and work his way off of turn 2. He cannot get the momentum, though. He needs to carry his way up to the back bumper of Thunhorse. Now as they work through 3, Thunhorse gets a good run off corner or exit, but Belke remains strong on the outside and will hold on to the position as they dive it back into 1.
Now something we got to think of here when we come into the final 5 or 10 laps to go, you want to be getting back on the gas as early as possible. However, though, remember these cars are easier to loop around than the ARCA Grand National Series cars. How much of that risk do you perhaps take? I think when it comes to the final lap, you're gonna see everyone wanting to get back as early as you can on the gas with the fixed setup. There goes Thunhorse, though.
Thunhorse looks to the inside. Belke powers back on the outside, side by side for the race lead. Under 20 to go. Belke tries to hold on, but Thunhorse with the inside momentum. Here comes Morton to the outside. He'll try to take him 3 wide almost as they come out of 2, but Thunhorse once again up towards the front of the field. Here comes Belke powering back on the outside. Morton sends it in deep. Who's going to clear him off of turn 4? Thunhorse, new race leader.
And Morton nearly put the bumper on Thunhorse that time by. You know, with Austin Belke, I think when Thunhorse went down to the inside line last lap, I think he noticed that Thunhorse went up the track, that he sent it in a little bit too deep, and to avoid hitting him, I think Belke went up the track on purpose as well, and that allows Thunhorse to lead, and he's pulling away.
Dunhorse now opening up the gap now. The cork's been opened. Now we're going to see if Dunhorse can stretch this lead out like he did at Five Flags. He starts to pull away by about 0.3 of a second. That's the biggest lead that we've had since the start of this race here as they come out of turn number 4. Matthew Dunhorse starting to pull away even more so, still keeping it at 0.3 to 0.4 of a second now. Now Belkey's trying to hold off Morton, who wants to get around him for second. Kenny Kibby watches on from 4th position as they dive it back into turn 3.
This is what Thunhurst wants to see. Belkey and Morton battling for second position.
Giving a quick
go ahead.
Giving a quick update to our provisional pole sitter for the next round at Southern National, Michael Goodman holds that 8th position in his number 28 machine. He's got a little bit of breathing room over Michael Lemoy, who sits in 9th, about 0.2 back as they dive it back into turns 3 and 4. Coming up now to 11 laps to go here at North Wilkesboro.
It looks like this streak of 4 and 4 will not continue here unless Thunhorse, sees a yellow flag fly, which opens the doors for Belkey or Morton. The record stands at 8 different winners in 8 races. And with this gap up to 1 second, the biggest we've seen it at all today, like you mentioned earlier, I just don't think it's going to be possible that that record will continue.
Keeping an eye on this here. Will we see the streak broken here tonight? We're going to find out as they come across the line. It's going to be 10 laps to go.
I think, in my opinion, right now at this point, with Matthew Thunhorse pulling away, for Belkey, Morton, and Kibby at this point on, I don't really think personally that it's worth it putting the bumper in these final laps. Kibby closed in on Morton for 3rd, but I just don't think anyone's going to put the bumper on. These 3 drivers race each other so hard and so well. They completely respect each other. I think they're just going to be good to go for right now and just stay 2nd through 4th to the end of this race. Especially when you think of it, too. Belkey is 3 points back on Justin Morton. But then you got Justin Morton, who's 14 behind Kenny Kibby. At this point, I don't think it's really worth it.
We're going to find out to see if Kenny Kibby can find his way back up through the field and see if he can get up into 2nd place. He's challenging right now Morton. Morton, though, being very protective and defensive, holding on to his podium position in that 3rd spot as they come out of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Morton still holds strong. Belkey still maintaining that 2nd position, but has lost almost a second on Matthew Thunhorse now as Thunhorse continues to stretch out his lead. 6 laps to go. Next time by, we'll see Barney the Flagman with the big high five as we watch these battle for the 2nd place. Belkey, Morton, here comes Kibby to the outside as Matthew Thunhorse out of turn number 4. Here we go. Big high five from Barney the Flagman. 5 laps to go.
It doesn't seem like Kibby's got anything really on Morton, trying everything he can do, but at a much better exit compared to Morton. That's why he's been trying to diamond the corner so far. And Kibby with a much better entry compared to Morton as we got 4 laps to go. Kibby last time by, oh wow, even though despite that, it's 100 slower to Justin Morton.
It's going to be great to see the action happening here as we continue to watch on the battle for 2nd as we keep an eye on your race leader. Also, Thunhorse has checked out to about 1.5 seconds. Belkey still trying to hold on for 2nd place. Kenny Kibby in 3rd as they continue on here to watch the action. 3 laps to go, and here comes Thunhorse back into turn number 3 and 4. He's now catching up to Mike Holloway to put him a lap down in 15th position. Out of turn number 4. Here we go. We get the big 2 to go. Popsicle sticks in the air from Barney the Flagman as we watch the action here as they come down the back straightaway. You're right on board with Thunhorse as he will receive the Gargamel Kitchens white flag in the air. One more time around for Matthew Thunhorse. As they work their way through, Thunhorse still maintains the lead. As he works his way out of turn 3 and 4, he's maintained. He will go back-to-back here in BRL competition. Matthew Thunhorse wins at North Wilkesboro.
Belkey, Morton, and Kibby remain in the 2nd and 3rd positions after their incredible race. Hardin 5th, Speed 6th. Michael Goodman holds on, and he'll have provisional pole for next week at our next race at Southern National.
It certainly is the case here, and as we watch our race winner Matthew Thornhorse go around, get to see him celebrate his victory. And with that, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll give you the full field rundown and interviews with our top three. You are watching the Bootleg Racing League Super Late Model Series presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. Welcome back to coverage of the Bootleg Racing League Super Late Model Series presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. Jalen Burris here along with Marty as we get ready to give you your final finishing order here for tonight's action as Matthew Thunhorse goes back-to-back here in the BRL. Next up is Austin Belke, followed by Justin Morton in third, Kenny Kibby in fourth with Jeffrey Harden in fifth, Steven Spees is in sixth with Adam Shane in seventh, Michael Goodman eighth with Michael Lemoy in ninth. Joe Segala rounds out your top 10.
11th went to Joseph Snyder, Michael and Kurt Smith in 12th and 13th. Mike Holloway finishing 14th, Brian Dean in 15th, Bruce Pearson finishing in 16th, Chris Wolfson in 17th spot, Mike Allen finishing 18th, 6 laps down, Donnie Moore, Todd Liston did not finish the race, only 14 drivers on the lead lap.
With that, we will now speak to our race winner, Matthew Thunhorse. Matthew, once again, another strong... Actually, we got to get him set up in here. Matthew Thunhorse, get him all hooked up. Matthew, you've gone back-to-back here in BRL. The first time this season we've had a second winner here who picks his second win of the season. First and foremost, how are you feeling after that exciting race here at North Wilkesboro?
Well, if you're looking for any automotive paint, I could recommend you to use Altexa, however it's pronounced. I don't know, I'd probably butcher it either way, but yeah, that one went flag to flag green, I think. Yeah, I can't really remember if we had a caution really, but yeah, that was it was weird to give this kind of a chess match because I didn't want to have any sort of instance or anything, and kind of rode Boston wrong again like I did last week, and so I was trying to avoid that and just kept working at him, and he wasn't leaving a whole lot of openings there, and what was there wasn't very good to try to take, and so it's just after I kind of got good positioning there early, I was just trying to work on him there for a while, and yeah, all I know is probably the hardest part about driving this place is just with how huge that A-pillar was. It was an absolute nightmare to try to see that apex, and too, with it being right there on the grass, so it was just trying to avoid mistakes, trying to focus on Austin, having Justin and Kenny right behind me the whole time. So it was physically draining a little bit, but it was also mentally as well. But, it still feels good,
Well, we get ready to head to the next round at Southern National. Your thoughts on that track, and can we see you go for 3 in a row next week?
Yeah, I don't know. Southern National's one of those races, one of those racetracks that I either, for some reason, do really well at, or I just tear the tires up at it. So that one we'll just have to see how it goes. I haven't really ever driven in a super late model before, so I'll have to see how that works out. But you know, the invert and everything else, and how good the drivers are in here, anything can happen. So I'm not confident in being able to go 3 in a row, but you know, we'll have to see, and I guess the fans will have to tune in next week. Taylor.
They certainly will. Well, we congratulate you, Matthew, for taking home your second win of the season. As we now turn it over to Marty Sakala, who has caught up with second place finisher Austin Belke.
Austin Belke, congratulations on a great run, though. But I gotta ask, did you know that Matthew Thunhorst was faster than you, and did you expect him to make that move in the final laps?
Yeah, I knew fully well he was faster. I mean, he ran me down pretty quick, and he stayed with me, and every single time I looked up in my mirror, he was up there. I mean, he's got 6K iRating, so it's not really if he'd pass me, but when he'd pass me.
Talk about as well those final laps as well. You know, the high side, of course, wasn't the place to go. And then the battle for second at the end between you, Morton, and Kibby. Is that how you expected the finish to just stay the same? Just you three not going for any big moves in the final laps, no bumping and no rubbing?
Well, yeah, I mean, no bumping and no rubbing is kind of a given here at BRL. We really stress that you don't hit people and knock them out of the way. And, you know, usually you only really get to somebody's inside if you kind of make the move down the straightaway, or if they leave the bottom open because they miss the corner. So you never expect to be kind of hit. It's very rare that we hit each other or come out of this race with, you know, any more than 1 or 2 X's in case you glance the wall or whatever. I kind of figured that Matt and Kenny were just as fast as Matt, so they were going to pass me there at the end. But I think Justin and I had worn our tires pretty similarly in the middle of the race, so the gap in performance just wasn't as large.
Well, great run for you tonight. Who do you want to give shout-outs to on your run?
Well, I got to start with the good Lord, my parents, my amazing girlfriend, Jacqueline, everybody in BRL for making this race go caution-free. It's a lot of fun to race with these guys. Matt and Justin for hanging out in the team speak. It's always fun to shoot the breeze. We didn't have any of that this race because it went caution-free. That was pretty fun. I got to thank Matt for racing me so clean this week, and same for Justin and Kenny. Kenny won the first 2 races tonight. It's a shame he didn't go 3 for 3. He's still looking for that. Hopefully he can get it next week. I got to thank Lowell for putting this league on. I got to thank Gargamel's Kitchen. They're a great partner and sponsor for us. I got to thank you guys for bringing our amazing races to the fans and everybody watching at home.
Great run tonight, Austin.
Thank you.
Austin Belke finishing in second position. Third place is Justin Morton. Taylor's got him.
Here with Justin Morton, who comes home in a strong third-place finish for you here tonight. Justin, a strong points night for you. Talk a little bit about your experience racing here at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, that setup was pretty tight. I think all of us were fighting it, especially killing that right front. Just trying to manage that. Got a pretty bad restart. Kind of got stuck behind, I can't remember who it was, but they just kept getting loose. It was unfortunate, but I eventually got to slot in, worked my way back up. Was hoping to follow Matt through passing Austin, but that didn't happen. Austin did a really good job managing his race there all the way through.
And also, you know, was there anything you felt like you could have done to challenge Belke for at least second place? We saw once Sunhorse was able to get by Belke, he was just checked out on the competition. But you were trying to find that opening, but Belke just could not have the opening for you to get around, get that second place.
Yeah, I was trying to work that, try to follow the line that Matt did, just arc it in high on entry and then dive in down low, but I don't think I had the tires for it like he did. Plus, I had Kenny right on my bumper pretty much that entire run, so not much of a chance to save. Just tried to hold position there.
Well, before we let you go, Justin, and celebrate your podium finish, anyone you would like to have a thank you to or a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my team, Forge. I decided to run our paint this week. Was at my Total Downforce Racing paint. Great group of guys. Brian for doing an awesome job with the paint. Rethread Co. for sponsoring us along with Major's Garage. Gargamel's Kitchen for sponsoring this awesome series. Lowell for running this great league, and thank you guys for doing the broadcasting. Of
course, that is Justin Morton coming home in third place here tonight. And of course, Marty, we got a lot to talk about here still to come on the Virtual Grip Network. Of course, the next time you will catch the BRL Super Late Model Series will be next Saturday night at 9 p.m. at the conclusion of the Virtual Grip Network coverage of the Super Late Model Series Bootleg Racing League presented by Gargamel's Kitchen. We say good night and thank you for tuning in.